Hey everyone, Contopia here. Today's video is about using Neversinks filter blade to create a loot filter in Path of Exile 2. The motivation for this video is to help an old friend enjoy the end game content without their screen being blown up by millions of items. Also to help more friends later on, and hopefully it helps my YouTube viewers too. Looking at the top of the filterblade.xyz website, we have our option for Path of Exile 1 or 2. Make sure it's on number 2 here for the purpose of this video. And then you can sign into your account to have quick, easy access to import and export your profiles, back them up, etc. And then a little bit further down here, we have 7 tiers of the loot filter for their strictness levels. The soft is basically just going to show you like all of the items that are roughly in the game, but you'll notice they are colored to a specific theme here based on the creator of this website, more or less. Plus, their team effort of people trying to pick the right colors for everything and whatnot. Very generous group. So anyways, soft filter shows everything with just the theme. So it replaces kind of like the default filter of the game. Really good for Act 1 through 3 on normal. And then regular, if you're doing kind of like Act 1 through 3 on cruel mode. And then semi-strict for maybe map tiers 1 through 4, and then strict for 5 through 12, and then anything that is like kind of like tier 13 and higher. In general, most people will pick very strict. And then for those who are just running tier 15s as a group, pretty much this is more of the smaller, maybe 20% of the player base of the game. Very rich groups will probably do uber strict because they are juicing and min-maxing the content of their maps, corrupting their tier 15s into 16s, and then adding extra levels, uh, monster levels to their maps through other resources like maybe breach, expedition, and then corruption on their map device, and then eradicated, etc. Um, Pretty much a lot of the items that are only going to be shown here are kind of like 10 exalts or half a divine more, and then this would pretty much just show only stuff that's more or less 20 exalts or so, so on and so forth, and maybe some more mid-tier currencies, not so much you know maps or skills or even items for that matter. And then what I personally like to do is mostly strict, and then usually for me, once I get to um, tier 13, 14, 15, I always leave it on very strict. I've never really played too much with Uber Strict or Uber Plus. Not really my thing. I kind of like to read most items, so if I'm not really doing any hard content, I just leave it on strict. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you two different things. And we are going to simulate the items here. As you can see, you can also unclick this music. And there's going to be sounds. These sounds are customizable with MP3 soundtracks. I do try to keep the tracks like 10 seconds or less. Now, these sounds are going to be all default, but you could add your own sounds. I only recommend customizing kind of like more mid and high tier items and currencies. Otherwise, you're going to, constantly hear it back to back to back. And keeping it at 10 seconds or less is also good because you don't want something playing for 30 seconds to a minute, etc. And then all of a sudden, you got one or two or three or so on and so forth of that item dropping every minute. Um, it would just overlap and it would be horrible gameplay. And yeah, so with all that being said, you can click on these individual items and customize it. You can definitely add little icons here at the front. You can change the color. You can also change the sound. Very easy access. You can also lower the volume if you don't want certain things to have, high volume, like, low tier currency or something. You can also change the background. Very easy access right here. You can also import an item from the trade website to kind of show up in here and edit it like that. And but yeah, I'm gonna leave most of that as is for right now. And here is where you can, kind of look at your sounds. You can change them, rename them, and then once you are done, you can basically export to POE and download. And this is going to be the location where the filter file and the audio files will go. And then really quick, I'm also going to show you a couple things here. So again, I'm going to go to very strict. Now, very strict, what that's going to do is hide a lot of the magic and rare bases, but it's also going to hide your E tier currency. Personally, I like the E tier currency because these are still worth an exalt and these do drop quite often. And as much as I am crafting bases, for my wands and weapons, I definitely want to have a lot of these on hand, and it starts getting expensive if I have to buy these manually from the currency exchange. So definitely gonna have those. And yeah, so that's gonna be it for currency. And then the next thing here is because the game is still in beta and new, they haven't really tuned it for a few things. They just kind of got it set up so people can enjoy it. We're kind of in charge of customizing it ourselves to optimize it the way we want it. Now, if you have noticed, heavy belts aren't really worth much anymore. They're like down to an exalt apiece. Kind of where we're like 6 exalts at the beginning of the beta league, quote unquote. Yeah, so Sapphires are going for about 22 exalts and Stellar Amulet somewhere between 100 140. Kind of changes time of day, blah blah blah. Yeah, so we're going to add a rule here, and we are going to just simply click edit, and we are going to type chancing bases low tier. So we're going to just add this rule. So now we got that, and we can just modify this one here. Backspace it a couple times. Chancing bases high tier, and boom. And then we're basically going to add the heavy belt here. And then we can remove the heavy belt there. Now, keep in mind that if you add it here and don't add it here, more or less how the filter shows is it's going to pretty much uh, show whatever comes first in the list, or it might give you an error message in game. So it is very important that if you are making extra rules that you do make sure you have one rule for like every item because you don't want anything conflicting. It's very aggravating. But yeah, so anyways, you can change your sounds here and customize your icons here. So for heavy belt, I leave as is. Now I do like my sapphire and stellar amulets to be a little bit larger in text, and you can add the backgrounds. So something like that. You can just kind of move your cursor around here and change it to whatever you prefer. I usually try to do something similar to Divine Orb, but I like to make it a little bit more pink than I do white, just so I know it's not a divine, but obviously it is something of high value. And then, just something like this. Pretty simple. And, like I said, you can change diamond to a hexagon, circle, a star. We'll do a star. Why not? I like green. All right. So that's pretty much it there. And yeah, so really hope this helped you guys. And hopefully you actually start seeing these things drop and notice it a lot easier so you can be rich and not poor. Yes, I've probably missed a few of these just because I thought it was a low tier base. Yeah, and same thing for uniques. Like sometimes I have a really hard time telling the difference between the low tier value uniques versus something mid. And what I'll do is I'll just generally just change the size to about half. Really helps make me determine what's worth picking up and what's not when there's a lot of stuff to be picked up on the ground. And again, as you go up in tier on the strictness, you'll notice that it'll start hiding small piles of gold and again, all the rare bases, etc. And yeah, that would go here again. Just kind of click through, just go through like the general loot and then the valuable loot and just kind of double check based on your strictness. Um, yeah, just double checked. You might pop it, 20 times on each one and just kind of be like, I really don't like armor or evasion. Maybe I just want to like hide that one specific base item. Maybe you don't like plated belts or a lot of belts. There's always something you may not want. Now, on average, this is going to be like a tier 14-ish map. 79 is going to be, tier 15 and 80, 81 for 16-ish and so forth. But if you put it to like 90 and you start generating the loot, you'll start getting, a lot more of the general loot to kind of show up on the screen a little bit quicker. So you can kind of see in the background all these bases that have been hidden. And if you want to compare to see what it may look like on the strict, if you just simply drag that slider back and then click again, it will show you, a couple of other things like the trimming staff, semi-strict. Then it'll show you all these expert bases. Now these are expert bases that aren't really worth much because they don't have implicits on top of the prefixes and suffixes. So that's why in general we do hide a lot of these bases even though they still say expert. Just in case anyone was curious on that, I just wanted to clarify that no implicits on these equals not much value. Unless it's like the first couple of weeks of a brand new league. Then it might hold some value. And again, we just download, bada boom, bada bing, and yeah, that's pretty much it. You can definitely click on their Discord or click on FAQ if you have any questions. Some of these creators here do have like their pages, so on. Yeah. Um, yeah, they have their pages here. And yeah, if you have any questions, definitely reach out to them. Very nice people, very intelligent. Yeah. And yeah, that'll be it for this video. Thank you again so much for watching. And if you have any feedback about this video or anything that I could have done differently as far as like some of the customizations that I've shown, please feel free to give any feedback whatsoever, positive or negative. It helps me either way. And again, I really do appreciate everything you guys do for me as far as watching my videos and leaving feedback. And it just really helps overall to help provide me make newer and better content, better detail on everything, which helps you guys out in the long run. uh yeah, see you guys next time.